When I was young, I saw too much John Wayne. We all saw too much John Wayne. I watched him kill a lot of people, all of them bad, most of them Indios. He was also pretty good at killing Japs, but not so good at killing Germans. John Wayne never died, not in the movies. When I was in Marine boot camp, they showed us John Wayne movies. In Marine boot camp, you couldn't leave the base, you couldn't go to the PX, you couldn't buy soft drinks, ice cream, or candy. You couldn't have cigarettes, beer, or women. But we could have John Wayne. Usually he wore a Marine uniform and killed a lot of Japs. An 18-year-old boot is one of the dumbest people in the world. We didn't think ketchup was a vegetable. Some thought it was a dessert. As an 18-year-old boot, I didn't understand why we had to use the atomic bomb when we had John Wayne. He could kill as many Japs as anyone could enjoy seeing. And he didn't cost much more than the research and development of the atomic bomb and the B-29. John Wayne didn't go do much in Korea. Killing Indians was paid better. And John Wayne never died. After Korea, John and I went our separate ways. I was busy going to school, getting married, starting a career. I didn't have time for the movies. I didn't even see The Alamo. I don't know how that turned out. John Wayne had his own problems in Vietnam. He killed a lot of Viet Cong, but no one enjoyed it. At the drive-in, a few people cheered, but they were too busy smoking grass and thought he was killing Indians. The Viet Cong had a benevolent and protective society in Berkeley and other schools of thought. The Japanese didn't have a benevolent and protective society, but they did have Toyotas and yen. So John went back to killing Indians. Nobody cared about those Indians. And John also killed some bad people. They were so bad that watching them curl up and croak was almost as pleasurable as watching the Japanese fry or seeing gut-shot Indians run over by their own horses before being scalped by Christians. Bad men weren't massacred. They died one by one like men. There was a benevolent and protective society for bad men. And John Wayne didn't kill women, no need to. Some things were lower than Indians. John Wayne didn't marry them either. He wasn't afraid of bad women, although good women gave him a scare or two. Nothing scarier than a good woman when she was in heat. John Wayne put women in their place. A little higher than a coyote, a little lower than a dead horse. John Wayne became my hero, became the hero of America, replacing such imposters as Lindbergh, Clarence Darrow, Albert Einstein, Audie Murphy, William Faulkner. He became the icon of the West. He was the spitting image of the American hero. He was tougher than a Longhorn State until the real bullets flew. He was meaner than a sidewinder if someone sat on his hat, beat his woman, or was too friendly with his horse, but only on film. John Wayne was charmingly inarticulate. He only had 12 words in his vocabulary other than Winchester. Six-shooter, kill, shoot, maim, horse, dog, and of course, pilgrim. 6 of the remaining words were variation of you know. Don Quixote may have been a little touched, but he wasn't incoherent. In the theater, even heroes have to speak. In novels, even stupid men have to be able to think. It took movies to give us, heroes. Movies started out silent, they remained dumb, they just added sound. John Wayne, he didn't need anybody. He didn't need any favors. He didn't take handouts. He pulled himself up by his own 6-shooters. He had no self-doubts. His opinion was right, and you were welcome to your own as long as it agreed with his. He was on the right road, headed in the right direction, and if you didn't get out of his way, he'd kill you. Or maybe just maim you if you had made an honest mistake. He sometimes let women and children live, but he never died. John Wayne never broke a sweat for daily bread, never toiled at a repetitive and humbling job for minimum wage, or was ever gainfully employed, except at killing people. His only skill was violence, but it was the skill most honored and most envied by his countrymen. And of course, he never died. John Wayne loved freedom. The freedom to go wherever he wanted to go, to do whatever he wanted to do, and kill anyone he wanted to. He was the quickest to violence, always, leaving slower men dead in the street. He had values: good horses, good dogs, good whiskey. He hated bad violence and killed bad, violent men. He was more violent than anyone, but he killed only those he thought needed killing. He had a code and permitted no extenuating circumstances and no exceptions, except of course himself. John Wayne was innocent, always innocent. No matter how many people he killed, or how much pleasure or profit or power he got out of it, he maintained an innocence about the whole bloody business. Well, sure, some good men died too, and some women were caught in the crossfire, and some babies. Some babies always died. But when you look up there and see the Old Glory waving in the breeze, high up there on top of the Enron building, it makes you wish the taxpayers weren't so damn dumb or cheap, and they're giving you more bullets to waste terrorists. John Wayne never lost. Right means might, so John Wayne couldn't lose. John Wayne wasn't at Wake Island or Corregidor because John Wayne was a draft dodger. He left Vietnam early in the movies. I didn't see the Alamo. I don't know how he got out of that one. Travis died, Crockett died, Bowie died, but John Wayne, he didn't die. I've been to the Alamo. I know that John Wayne is in there somewhere. He's alive. His spirit transcended him, passing the souls of Americans everywhere. The story that John Wayne bodily ascended into heaven is probably not true. John Wayne passed into the spirit of Americans who died in Beirut, Grenada, Nicaragua, Libya, Panama, Iran, Iraq. John Wayne, he never died. John gave us the stories that tell us how to be men when women and children don't measure up to our standards for them. When other men don't get out of the way of our ambitions. When teachers, parents, or peers try to fence in our egos. When inferiors pretend they have the same rights we have. St. John taught us big and powerful is good. Small and weak is bad and must be killed, or at least exploited. St. John taught us that a man should take everything he can get, and the quickest way to get it is with a gun. St. John taught us that the fastest to the trigger is the hero. John Wayne lives in the souls of those who believe bullets speak louder than words, who believe a gun, a quick draw, and a steady aim are the only Bill of Rights you'll ever need. People, John Wayne must die.